Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show. Meet the trusted experts who will give you straight answers and will help guide you on the path of later life care. Now, here's your host, founder, caregiver, and CEO, Suzanne Newman.
And welcome everyone to Answers for Elders radio network, heard across the USA from coast to coast. And we are so excited to be doing a special series this summer called the Vitality Revolution. Now, the Vitality Revolution is the 8 foundational principles of wellness. We started in June, and we've been basically counting out the 8 foundational principles based on a study by the University of Colorado. And one of the things that we've been really honored to have is like these amazing way showers in the industry that have information that you may not hear every day, but it's things on wellness principles. And we started the month of August with spiritual wellness for the first 2 weeks. And now we're so excited to be moving into intellectual wellness, brain health. How do we take care of this mind of ours that is so phenomenal that we don't even know? And we're so honored to have an amazing guest with us this week, a woman by the name of Denise Medved, and she's the founder and CEO of agelessgrace.com. And Denise, you're based out of North Carolina. Is that correct? This is where you are?
That's where I am, yes. However, we are in 50 states and 33 other countries.
That is incredible, Denise. And I know you've been on national television, you've done TED Talks, you're endorsed by some amazing organizations. I was looking at your website, agelessgrace.com. What an amazing program that you have developed and that you have available. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you from all of us that are over 65 to have these resources that you do, and so incredible. So Denise, tell us a little bit about, when we talk about brain health, could you define brain health?
Well, there are 5 primary functions of the brain. I'm not talking about regions or sections of the brain. That's anatomy. I'm talking about, what does the brain do?
Okay.
It does strategic planning, and it is based on not mental activity, as in planning your retirement. It's based on physical movement, because the primary purpose of the brain is to control movement of the body. So by strategic planning, I mean, how do you physically get from point A to B to C? How do you navigate across the room? How do you navigate to get in and out of your car? That is a function of the brain, strategic planning. The next one is called memory and recall. And I know that a lot of people are very interested in that particular function.
Absolutely.
Yes. However, all 5 functions must be activated on a daily basis and strengthened, because if only 1 or 2 functions are strong, that doesn't mean the entire brain is healthy. All of those functions must be healthy. So memory and recall, as it relates to the purpose of the brain, controlling movement of the body, has to do with remembering a physical experience that you had. And a lot of people don't realize this, but any memory is actually remembering a physical experience, whether you realize it or not. You think, oh, I'm trying to remember that fact I learned in geography. And right away, you probably go to a picture of your classroom in your brain, or a picture of your teacher, or where you sat when you were learning this thing.
Absolutely.
So it is a physical memory experience that you are stimulating. And recall is slightly different than memory, because recall could mean that you might be recalling what you know about something and the physical experience you had learning about that, even though you don't do it yourself. So an example would be if I said, pretend you're playing the trombone. Well, you may never have even touched a trombone, but immediately you're going to recall what you know, that it has a slide, that it has a mouthpiece. And that is a form of memory. It's called recall. The third function of the brain is analytical thinking. And again, it has not anything to do with analyzing numbers particularly, or words. It has to do with understanding all the parts or components that make up an activity of your daily life. What are all the parts and steps that make up the idea of playing baseball. What are the parts and steps that make up the idea of I'm going to get in my car and drive to the gym and I'm going to have a workout, and then what am I going to do?
Right.
That is analytical thinking as it pertains to the brain actually
Right.
analyzing. The next one is called creativity and imagination, and we are all creative. It's one of the functions of the brain, and what that really means is moving or acting in some way that's a little new to you or different or a little out of the box. It can be as simple as brushing your teeth with the other hand instead of the one that you always use. So that is a form of creativity that the brain is in charge of. Imagination, again, like recall and memory, are related but not exactly the same. Literally, imagination means you're seeing an image in your mind, and
Hmm.
that is very physical, very much part of the brain function. So, for example, the minute I said to you earlier, imagine you're playing the trombone, I am certain that you and anyone listening imagined a trombone. That's what you saw in your
Absolutely.
mind. Or maybe you saw a band with some trombone players in the band. Everyone saw a different image, and that is what has to be lit up every day. A little
Hmm.
side fact that's very interesting about imagination is that Dr. Norman Doidge, who wrote the book The Brain That Changes Itself, did many thousands of MRIs and discovered that imagination and physical activity light up the same parts of the brain. Meaning I can
Wow.
imagine that I'm playing a trombone, or I could really play a trombone and my brain would light up the same way.
Hmm.
It's fascinating. And then the last function of the brain is kinesthetic learning. And that means we learn through our body first.
Yes.
And later on, our brain kicks in and advises our body on how to make it more efficient. That's how we learned from the time we were children till we were
Sure.
maybe teenagers or in our 20s, because we were learning how to do something for the first time.
Hmm. Hmm. Wow. So, I can see there's so many connectors, but really it goes back to physical,
Yes.
movement. And I've been, reading a lot of information on your website. Obviously, you do programs overall, with your programs to help and brain health. How does it, how do you do that, and what do you do specifically?
Well, it's actually a seated program. And a lot of people say right away, like, oh, I don't need to be a seated program. I jump rope, I jog, I ride my bicycle. I don't need to sit down. It has
Hmm.
nothing to do with how healthy, how fit, how strong you are. It has
Sure.
everything to do with that. If you are sitting down and we ask you to do certain things that you normally do standing up, instantaneously your brain starts to connect and say, how would I do this sitting down? So it's
Right.
the fastest way for you to be able to actually impact those five primary functions of the brain: being seated and then following through on different kinds of
And
activities that we ask you to do
and
that
that's
you would.
so important. With There's so many seniors out there that have mobility challenges, or they
Yes.
have arthritis, or they have, different sorts of health challenges that prevents them from, walking or doing a lot of the things that, people say get out and exercise. It's really about moving. But it's about engagement, I would imagine. A lot of it is not.
Absolutely. It's both mental and physical engagement. And so while it's not in a chair for people who are possibly weak or have poor balance, it is wonderful because all of those people can take
Mhm.
advantage of it. Whether you're 7 or 107, you do this program seated in order to engage the brain.
Wow. And Denise Medved is the CEO and founder of agelessgrace.com. And Denise, if people visit your website, what will they find?
There are several free things that you can get on there, like a free class or some handouts or some video clips that you can watch. And then we also have products that we sell to help you be able to practice this on your own at home.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, Denise, I am so thrilled to have you on. And we're going to talk this hour a lot about brain health. How do we stay active in our minds? How do we exercise our brains in the most efficient way possible as we age? And everyone, Denise and I, we're going to be right back. And we're going to talk in the next segment about specifically, her story, her backstory. She has an amazing story. And we're going to be right back right after this. We at Answers for Elders thank you for listening. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.